Over the next 12 months, social media is going to look very, very different. And I'm not talking about a new trend or a feature change, but I'm talking about a fundamental shift that is going to change social media forever. And it's going to separate the creators who thrive and the creators who are just going to disappear. I've generated hundreds of millions of views across my different platforms, across different niches, across different styles. I've seen algorithms change and evolve over the past 3 to 4 years of posting content. And I've seen what works and what can change overnight. And right now I'm seeing something that most creators are completely unprepared for. So if you're struggling to grow, if you're struggling to get views, if you're struggling to monetize, or if you're struggling to just figure it out as a creator in 2025, 2026, and beyond, in the next little bit we have together, we're gonna go over exactly what you should be doing as a creator to future-proof yourself and keep up with all of these fundamental shifts going on in social media right now. And if we haven't met before, my name is Ethan. I spent 6 years as a professional freelance photographer. I was shooting content for other brands and basically built my dream business in my city, only to find out that's not the exact lifestyle that I wanted to be living. And I also had a feeling that the freelance photography industry was sort of dying. Brands needed content to build a brand, not just deliverables so they could just have some fancy website images. Brands nowadays need content, a full 360 coverage, so they can actually stand out online. And that's where your value is as a photographer, videographer, content creator, creative, whatever it is. Because nowadays it's a brand game and a volume game. I had my social media influencer friends getting paid 5 figures to shoot videos with their iPhone. Meanwhile, I was just hustling with my professional camera gear, charging a tenth of what they were charging. And now 3 years later, a lot of creatives and creators have caught up and they realize that they need to be posting content and, building a personal brand, and everything you hear online is true. And we're here. And now we're in late stage social media. So here's the problem that most people don't see. We are indeed entering a new era of social media, what I would call late stage social media. And there are 3 forces colliding right now that are gonna make the creator game completely different. Number 1 is the AI content flood. You can now generate videos, content that provoke emotion, that go viral with cheap software like Sora 2, like VO3, like Artlist. Every single creative and AI platform is now going to allow you to create content out of nothing. Back in the day, let's say 2010, you would need to actually have a camera to start on YouTube. You would need a fancy computer to edit this footage on and store all this footage on. And then iPhones came around, and then people started creating content with their iPhones, so the barrier to entry got a lot lower. And nowadays we have AI content, so you don't even need anything rather than a $500 computer to start making beautiful campaigns, beautiful work, beautiful art. Whether you disagree or agree with the use of AI content, it's here to stay. And the reality is many of us aren't even going to know if it's AI or not. So it's hard to make that prediction of, we're not going to want to look at AI content when you don't even know if it is or isn't AI. So over the next 12 months, the amount of social media content being created is going to 100x of what it is now. The amount of creators are going to 100x. The noise is going to be 100x on social media. So your signal, your brand, your loyalty, your vibe, your story need to also be 100x of what it is now. You should be ultra clear on what you do, how you present yourself, what you're trying to do online, because this window could slowly be shrinking, because now we're literally competing with infinite AI content. The second force and problem I see right now is the cookie cutter template problem that most creators have. You see, everyone says the same thing. Everyone can just download and use the same CapCut templates, the same trending audios. Everyone knows how to use the Edits app on your iPhone. Everyone knows to steal viral content to make your own viral content. Everyone knows to build a personal brand and to make authentic content, which is very ironic because that in itself is conformity by talking about making authentic content, because that's what's trending right now isn't authentic. It's kind of funny. So if you don't have your own unique style and brand, you might get short-term views, but then you're not building a space on the internet that feels unique. And when this AI content starts to really ramp up and starts to get a lot more serious, you're going to just be competing with the other AI cookie cutter templates, scripts, and topics. So therefore, I would argue that you would need to double down on what makes you special and what you actually like. What are your core values in life? What is your actual life experience? What are the skills you like? What are your contrarian beliefs that you don't agree with? And starting to get a little bit more comfortable creating topics that are new on social media that maybe haven't been talked about yet. I think this is something that a lot of creators are going to have to start figuring out over the next few months to really stand out on social. And another big shift we're seeing is the algorithm. We are now full on into the interest-based algorithms. Meaning when you follow a creator, you might not see their videos. The algorithms still have to suggest their videos to you. So if you subscribe to this YouTube channel or if you follow me on Instagram, there's a higher percentage chance that you might see my videos, that you might pop up again. So in that case, please like and subscribe on this video so then you might run into me again. But nowadays it's not as guaranteed. Back in the day, you used to have like a nice timeline of everyone you follow. You used to have control over the videos or content that you're going to be watching. But nowadays it's all an interest-based algorithm, meaning that whatever your scrolling patterns, scrolling behaviors are that day, the social media platforms are going to give you that content, meaning it is less social media now and more of just media in general. It is entertainment media rather than social media, which means that the individual pieces of content that we post as creators need to stand out on their own because your audience matters a lot less now. And if you've been watching my other content, you know having your own communities and your own newsletter and email list is going to be one of the most valuable things you can do moving forward. Because at the end of the day, that's the only audience you really own. And that's the only audience that you have control over, because now everything is clearly just rented and clearly just temporary. And if you're someone who wants to earn a full-time living doing this, then that would be pretty important to actually have control over your income and your audience. So here's the shift that we need to make to counter all of these problems that we're facing on the social media landscape right now, because creating content is simply not enough anymore. We need to be creating a brand. We need to be going all in on our actual brand and not just like a generic personal brand or generic make authentic content. And I know it seems obvious to say, but most creators are still thinking like it's 2020 or even 2015 on YouTube. Back in the day, the barrier to entry was so low that all you needed to do was just show up and post consistently. Back in the day, all you needed to do was just post 60 days in a row, 90 days in a row, and you would blow up. But nowadays, it is getting a little bit harder to really get that attention. So let me give you the exact playbook of how we can win in this new era and how you can build a brand that's not generic and authentic. And I've laid it out in 6 things. It'll be super easy to follow along and future-proof yourself. Number 1 is thinking brand first throughout all of your content, creating an ecosystem and a place on the internet for people to come chill. This is the most important shift. I think your content should have a congruent flow through different platforms, through different mediums, through different styles. And when someone clicks on your brand, your personal brand, your actual business, whatever it is, they should know what they're going to expect. That is what a brand is. It's not fancy colors or the way you film your content. It's everything together. It is the topic of the video. It's the cadence. It's the feeling. It's the emotion. It's the certain level of quality you would expect. The most natural way, the actual authentic way to show off your own brand consistently is trying to get as close to your own self as possible. So show your own personality. Ideally, we don't want to be a fact machine and always talking about different facts, right? Because again, AI can kind of spit out 6 facts. We want to relate our topics to our own stories, our own ideas, and our own vibe. So if you can highlight your own stories, your hero's journey, your origin story, your values journey, knowing why you think the way you do, knowing what frustrates you, what you like, what you've done in the past, taking some time to journal and really sit with your thoughts so you can start thinking about how you really view the world, and then getting a little bit more comfortable to start sharing that on the internet so then everything starts flowing. And you don't need to show everything on the internet. Like, I don't need to talk about my private life. I can leave certain things out. But the information I do decide to share publicly is me. There's no extra layers to it. This is just exactly what's happening in real time. So the idea with this first point is your brand needs to be consistent and personal. And the only way you can do that is by figuring out who you really are deep down and why you're building this business, what kind of business you want to be building, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, number 2 is your contrarian beliefs. You need to differentiate yourself or you're gonna die. In a sea of similar content, similar values, similar groupthink, and people that all seem to have the same beliefs so that they don't know where or why they got them in the first place, is the best area to stand out in. Most people don't question their system, their ideas, their core values. So it's your job now as a creator to take a second to really journal and think about what makes you different. What don't you like about the status quo? What would you like to see a change in the world? And then start creating content from that perspective. If there's something you hate, great. Like that is your enemy. You can frame that in your content and you can start talking about the different opportunity, the different way of doing things in your own content. For me, I now clearly hate the cookie cutter, very hypey personal brand guru type of energy. I'm trying to differentiate myself now and frame that as the enemy. That's kind of an example in my own brand. I want to be as human and authentic as possible. And like over the past couple months, I've really been doubling down on YouTube, on longer form solo podcasts, stuff like this. And yes, maybe they don't get as many views, but this is my way of creating the vibe and creating the space that I want to see on the internet. And then of course, other like-minded people will also hopefully find value and enjoy the journey that we're cultivating, that we're building together. Okay, number 3, develop your own lexicon. Develop your own inner vocabulary that you can use within your tribe. This is super important. And if you notice, all of your favorite YouTubers, all of your favorite content creators have these little inside jokes, inside vocabulary moments that really bring you in and it feels like you're part of the family. One of my favorite financial YouTubers, he would always talk about like different stock names and different ticker symbols, and he'd have like cute fucking nicknames for the ticker symbols. I thought that was a great example. Peter McKinnon has "What's Up Everybody" with that like PH at the beginning of it. Andrew Tate has Top G's. Alex Hormozy has Mosey Nation. He also has a couple other ones, I just forget, but that's a really good example. You essentially want to create a vocabulary where people can feel like they're part of the club, and give your crew, give your tribe a name, and start using some of these words consistently and intentionally in your content. So then that way everyone can kind of come back to your spot in the internet and be associated with your tribe. Oh, Alex Hormozy also had $100 million leads offers, the $100 million series, Grand Slam offer. That's one that he's kind of invented or, coined as his. I have the Intentional Creator, which is my newsletter that I send once a week. And essentially my whole philosophy is that we got to be intentional as creators and think of how we're going to build our dream business with the end in mind and work smarter, not harder. And that's why I roll with Intentional Creators. I also have Digitalize Your Business. I use that a lot. This is essentially taking your actual freelance business, your skills that you have already, and turning them into your own business through your content. And that's this whole idea of digitalizing yourself, digitalizing your own business, because there's so much opportunity. And I think that might be the future. That might be all we will be doing in the future. Once you create your own lexicon, your brand will be sticky, memorable, and you will give people a taste to be on the inside crew. And they can identify that vocabulary with your own frameworks and your own IP. Okay, number 4, this is now more tactical. When platforms create and launch new features, I want you to use them first. I want you to trailblaze and explore all the different new features on social media. I think there could be a time in 2026 or beyond when we do have like a human authenticated feature or something like that. We got to be playing and be well aware of all of these new features. And the best way to do that is honestly just by posting consistently, trying out different features, trying out different platforms, because when there is a new opportunity on social media, on a new platform, the algorithm hasn't figured out yet what kind of content it wants to push. It's trying a lot of different things. The audience members and viewers are also trying new different things. They're trying to see what content sticks, what they like, etc. And that's your opportunity to really fit into that new algorithm. And then you can really blow up your content from there. Threads was a great example. And then that kind of went down a little bit. Instagram Reels back in the day was the best. I was on TikTok in 2019. Unfortunately, I didn't have the skills back then to really blow up on TikTok. I still did. I still had like a couple 100,000 views, but wasn't quite meaningful because I wasn't who I am today. And it was all part of the journey, but I can show you a video. But I was basically a kid back then, and I didn't have enough skills in my life to be able to digitalize my business. I didn't know how to build a personal brand or how to create with an intention. So that's why it took, 7 years, which is crazy, of posting content. But now we're here, and hopefully you don't have to have the same mistakes as I do. If you wanted to learn from my journey and connect with a group of like-minded people, you can join the free school community in the description in this video. I have a lot of guides, resources, templates, and you can just get the inside scoop on exactly what I'm doing to grow my own audience. I document a lot of things in there, and you can ask some questions in the forum. So if that's something that interests you, go join the free school community over there. Trial Reels was also a great example of a new feature that people made a killing with. People gained tens of thousands of followers just from trial Reels. So when you see these new features, don't be shy. Don't be afraid of them. Just go all in and really be okay with experimenting. Okay, next we have to prepare for new social media launches in general. So our AI came out, which is a social media type interface with only AI generated content. I would argue if you're curious about it, I would go post on there. I've already made a few drafts in private. TikTok also got bought by the US companies, I think Oracle and a few others. And now they're going to have their own algorithms being implemented in this app in TikTok. So now TikTok's going to have a complete rephrase and potential reset of their own algorithms. I think Instagram could also do something pretty new soon as well. We don't really know what's coming yet. There could be a completely new AI, like anti-AI platform or human-only platform. I think that would be really interesting, whether that's going to be a feature or a new platform altogether. When that stuff comes out, I think experimenting it, giving yourself the time and opportunity to learn it is going to be super important so you can get that head start and jump on everybody else. We've seen this time and time again with all of these other platforms. And now with this next one, we don't want to be missing this opportunity when there is more viewers on the platform than creators. That's what we're trying to beat. Once there's viewership, there's a certain point of time with new platforms, new features, that there's more viewership than there is creators. So then the creators that are making content are getting way more views because there's not enough creators on the platforms. So we're going to be early to the ship and build our content from there. Even Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they started on Vine. That's how they made their whole career. And then obviously when Vine shut down, they already had their YouTube following, they already had their audience, and they just rode the wave with that. So this is the playbook strategy, waiting until there's some sort of new platform that you can start. And that doesn't mean you need to be waiting to make content, period. If you haven't made content at all, it's going to be super important for you to start practicing now so you have the skills and you're ready for this new opportunity when it comes to you, because otherwise you're going to miss the next one, just like how you missed this 6 other opportunities in the social platforms that have been launched over the past 10, 20 years. Okay, and number 6, we need to build our own audience. Launch your own community, launch your own email list, and really build depth in there. Try and give value, try and create a vibe in there. This is the only audience that you're actually going to own. So even when we have these interest-based algorithms, it's not going to matter if you can really bring the attention to something that is truly yours and that you truly have control over. So you don't need to be writing to the algorithm. You can just give straight value, give your ideas, give your personal updates. You don't need to be playing with hashtags and time of day of posting or whatever other tricks you want to be using. You can really just have your own community and thing in there. So yeah, if you're not in my email list, you can join the free school community. You'll be added to the email list as well through that. That's where I keep everyone up to date with my things. It's really my weekly blog where I give inside creator updates and everything else you would need to know to launch your creator business. Because at the end of the day, you have no idea if Instagram's gonna shut down, if you're gonna ban your account, if TikTok's gonna flop your videos, or if YouTube's gonna demonetize you. You have no control over that. So that's why it's super important to be building your own business through all of this and building your own owned community. Also, if you want my help to launch your own creator business and implement everything I just talked about in this video, you can DM me 56 on Instagram. I'll work with people one-on-one in our private community called Catalyst. And this would be a great opportunity for you to check out if you wanted some extra help in one-on-one support when you're building this all out. So you don't have to spend 7 years going through the trial and error like I did. You can kind of fast forward and steal my system and get a really good head start. One of my clients made 27K in 3 months when he just had 500 followers. He just started posting content and was able to make it his full-time thing. So it's pretty cool. Go check it out. You can DM me 56 on Instagram for that. And if you found this video helpful, then you're going to want to make sure you have 2 things moving forward: a clear niche and brand positioning, and a clear way to monetize so you have your end goal or end game. And that's exactly what I cover in this next video: how to rebrand yourself and launch your creator business in 30 days. That video is linked in the description, so you can go watch it next if that sparks your interest. Okay, peace.